Seguimos en el Congreso de Barcelona, en el Mobile World Congress 2013. Nos visita Matt, que es el director de una empresa que se llama Machina Research. Y justamente Matt me estaba comentando justo antes de entrar en cámara lo difícil que es encontrar los stands este año, porque todos estábamos acostumbrados a la vieja fira o al viejo pabellón, donde ya teníamos todos un gran conocimiento de la arquitectura y los lugares del evento, y aquí es todo nuevo para todos y a la gente le cuesta ir con el mapa, y es un pequeño inconveniente que está teniendo esta nueva ubicación del Congreso. Matt, welcome to Telesemana. I was just telling our audience about your, everybody being lost a little bit because of the new venue.
Just a bit, yeah.
So tell us first very quickly about Machina Research, so our audience know who you are, and then we can discuss machine to machine.
Sure. So we're a specialist research consulting firm looking at M2M, so new connected devices and some of the wonderful things that those new connected devices can do, like connected cars for new services in vehicles, connected healthcare equipment to extend lifespans and improve people's healthcare, and just across all of those areas. So smart metering, it's healthcare, it's utilities, it's automotive, it's a whole mass of different new ways in which devices can be connected.
Yeah. So basically your name says it all, Machina Research,
exactly,
machine to machine.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, now tell us, we are hearing a lot of companies, Ericsson for example, saying the Internet of Things, and everybody's discussing about the Internet of Things. What's the difference between the Internet of Things and machine to machine? Is there any difference, or we're talking about the same thing?
There is a difference, yes.
Okay.
So machine to machine you can think of as the plumbing of the Internet of
plumbing.
Things. Yeah. So it's the device, it's the way that you connect the devices, and then the intelligence comes when you can do a lot of things with the data that's being created by those devices. Okay. So you've got a lot of monitoring devices and devices that do things, but until you actually stitch those together and use that intelligence, use the data in an intelligent way, you're not really getting to the Internet of Things.
Okay.
Now, what we've been doing recently is a lot of work around moving from where we are at the moment, where that data is being used in small areas, so maybe in a particular company or a group of companies, to this Internet of Things, which involves connecting all devices and allowing a lot of interaction between those. And that's kind of the future, right? That's out there 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the future.
That long?
But, well, potentially, yes. But there's a question about how we get there and what the steps are that we get there, that we use to get there. And what we're talking about a lot this week is around something we're referring to as the subnet of things. Okay, so the subnet of things. Okay, so you heard it here first. This is a new one. We've got a white paper that we published just at the end of last week about.
Open for everybody or for pay?
Yeah, available on our website.
Do you have to pay for it?
No, it's free. So anybody can access that. And what we're talking about there is moving through this intranet of things that we've got today, through the subnet of things to the Internet of Things. And what those subnet of things are groups around particular companies maybe, or around particular sectors, where you take information from multiple sources and you're stitching it together. So smart cities is a great example. So we've got a lot of vertical applications, maybe looking at public transport or looking at refuse collection. And if you start stitching together a lot of those different applications, then you can get to this smart city subnet of things. Another good example would be around healthcare, where you have individual healthcare solutions around a heart rate monitor maybe, or diabetes monitoring.
Which is the classical fragmentation that we usually see on.
Exactly. So we've got that fragmentation at the moment, but there is the opportunity to stitch a lot of those things together in healthcare terms. And there are a lot of companies who are pushing this. So something like Qualcomm's 2Net project. So they're looking there at effectively creating this subnet of things around healthcare. And these are some of the more exciting things that are happening immediately as we make that progression to the Internet of Things.
Okay, last year we saw, to me the machine-to-machine market is very confusing. I mean, it sounds so complicated because of all you have much more variables involved than when you are talking about just phones and people, for whatever reason, but that's what's happening. And we heard like 7 operators like last year announcing a partnership to develop machine-to-machine. Then we heard 8 associations, also international groups, saying they would develop also M2M. Are these guys talking about developing the same thing, different things in the ecosystem? Because we've seen these alliances and these companies saying, Telefonica is joining forces with Verizon to develop machine-to-machine. NTT Docomo with NEC. Well, it's very dispersed, everything.
It is, and in a way, machine-to-machine isn't a particularly helpful term, because what you're talking about is connecting different devices that do completely different things.
Yes.
And providing an extra set of capabilities around those devices, or improving business processes, or adding different features to maybe consumer electronics devices. So there's lots and lots of different ways in which this thing that we refer to as machine-to-machine can act. Right.
Okay.
And what you're seeing with those formations of the alliances, and a lot of the work that's going on in M2M at the moment, is about driving some of the friction and driving some of the complexity out of it. Okay, so when you talk about the alliances, a lot of the solutions need to be global. Okay, so if you're an auto manufacturer, if you're a healthcare device manufacturer, you want a global solution, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to sell your device anywhere in the world, and it will work anywhere in the world. And to be able to get hold of the data from those devices and use it in a meaningful way, and track the devices and make sure they're all working properly, and so on. And so what a lot of these alliances are aimed at is driving out that complexity. So you can, so those operators talk to each other, they interact together, and they're able to provide that global solution, whereas previously they might not have been able to do it quite so well as a standalone entity. Now they could still do it, because with roaming you can still handle the connectivity, but there's a richer set of requirements for machine to machine around understanding whether the device is operational, how it's working, if there's any problems, how do you resolve those problems. That actually needs those operators to work together, and that's what we're seeing with the grouping around Jasper, which we're expecting an official name to come out this week, and the Global M2M Association, which is Orange, Deutsche Telekom, and Telia Sonera. So those kind of groupings are really pushing that complexity.
Are they having any conflicts in terms of trying to remove some of the complexity in different ways? So addressing one issue in two different ways that at some point may collide?
Well, it's always difficult when you get lots and lots of different companies all sitting around a table. There's certain egos involved in these things, but they've all got one common goal, which is to make this an easier thing for the customer to understand, because they're aiming at the same thing, right? Yeah. At the moment, it's more about building the market than it is about how much of a proportion of that market you take, and so we're in quite a nice situation in the machine-to-machine industry at the moment, that there's a certain amount of understanding that you need to work together, and you need to resolve some of these problems before you start going fiercely in terms of competing with those other operators.
Okay. When do you expect to have a market by which, as you were saying, devices would be like plug and play? You would, plug the refrigerator and already would be talking to everybody? Or?
Well, it's already happening now to a certain extent. It's just a question of time before we're getting it really, before it filters out into every single one of these potential applications. Okay. But everything is growing massively. I was over at not to name drop another show when we're here in Barcelona, but I was at the CES.
I think they wouldn't mind though.
No, I'm sure they would.
You just mentioned it.
So I was at the CES show in January, and it's fascinating walking around all of these stands where they're selling consumer electronics, but it's all about the connectivity now, right? So you go and look at the companies that are selling white goods, fridges and washing machines.
They are putting already.
It's all about connecting it. TVs, it's all about connecting the TVs. So this is starting to permeate out into the entirety of the market. But we're still seeing there's still a lack of understanding among some potential customers about how machine-to-machine could help them, because they don't think in terms of machine-to-machine. They think in terms of, we've got this problem, or they might not even be aware that they've got a problem, and how, and maybe how I get a solution, how I improve my business processes. And so the focus of network operators is shifting away from selling SIMs and providing connectivity to more of providing a solution to the business problem that the companies are facing, and that's absolutely the right approach to take. You should be focusing on that rather than just how many SIMs have we sold and how much do we charge for our data. Okay.
So what we're going to do is send people to your Machina Research website, which I guess is machinaresearch.com.
Exactly.
For probably the white paper that you just. It's probably visible on the homepage?
Absolutely, or in the news section. It's
in the news section?
First and foremost in the news
so they could go there and download the paper, which is free, which is, free new model.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you for visiting us.
No problem at all. Thanks.